the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Hour 3, good Monday morning. It is Follow the Money here on VSiN. And folks, Bet Rivers Sportsbook takes football same-game parlays to a whole other level. Now you can combine same-game parlays from different games to give you even more ways to make your perfect combo. In addition to that, Bet Rivers has added more and more same-game parlays for college football matchups just in time for the biggest games of the season. Download the Bet Rivers app or go to betrivers.com today to explore all the new ways you could create your ideal combination. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Illinois, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT. Colorado, 1-800-522-4700. Michigan, 1-800-270-7117. Virginia, 1-888-532-3500. Iowa, call 1-800-BETS-OFF. Playable in New Jersey as Play Sugar House. Void where prohibited. Alongside Shaun King, I am Tim Murray, fired up for our next guest who knows my partner in crime quite well. It is the former head coach of the Washington football team and former offensive assistant for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's where I like to lead him. It is Jay Gruden. Jay, good morning. And how much did this gentleman next to me, how big of a pain in the butt was he to you when you were an offensive assistant there for your brother?
He was tough to deal with. He was really tough. He had all the answers. The thing about Shaun was he was actually smarter than me, which bothered me. He was great, man. He was great. I loved his career at Tulane, and he was fun to play, fun to coach, fun to be around, and a really solid quarterback in the NFL.
Hey, I thought I was big time in Tampa. I mean, that's my city from St. Pete. I went to Orlando and hung out with Jay Gruden, and he was like the unofficial mayor. And I knew I had not arrived quite as well as Jay had arrived in the great city of Orlando.
Yeah, right. Thank you for that, though. I did have some fun in Orlando and Tampa, my playing days and coaching days in the Arena League, and we were pretty big time there for a while until it just came to a crashing halt, kind of like my coaching career.
So, Jay, let's jump right into it. I mean, COVID has ravaged, the National Football League. A lot of unexpected guys testing positive. Like, in your opinion, what's the most difficult thing when the schedule gets adjusted, like tonight's games, Vikings and Bears, Raiders and Browns? What's the most difficult thing to deal with?
Well, I think when it gets pushed back, it's not that big a deal, right? You just get more time to prepare, and you just got to figure out how to utilize the time. And there's always things you can work on. There's always things that you may have swept under the rug that you can bring back. You can work on. You can work on some more 2-minute stuff, end of game, end of half scenarios. There's a lot of things you can work on and utilize that time. Hone in on your third down package. Hone in on your blitz pickups. Hone in on your blitz package on defense. Whatever you want to do. So when you push the game back, now they're going to have to deal with the short week coming up. If they play Tuesday, then have to play a game on Sunday. That's the tough part. The team coming back the following week. How you get your team ready to play from injury, and then getting them mentally ready to play as well.
Jay, I'm so glad that you mentioned that because he's talking about situational football, blitz pickup, third down package, understanding tendencies of the defense. Game management factors into this as well. And, Jay, it seems to be taking over the National Football League, this nasty, dirty word called analytics, where guys, in my opinion, are using as a crutch, kind of alleviating themselves of the responsibility of understanding the situation, time in the game, who's playing, who's not playing. What's your opinion on analytics, and is it here to stay?
I think it's going to be here to stay. It's going to be utilized by different teams, but I still think that there's like the thing called a gut feeling that you have to use as a coach. That analytics don't take into account who your left guard is, who their defensive tackle is, who your tight end is at the point of attack on 3rd and 1, 4. Hey, go for it on 4th and 1. Well, how am I going to get the yard, Mr. Analytic? Am I going to run it? Who am I going to run behind? What's the win factor? Who's playing quarterback on the other side of the field? How good are they? Sometimes punting and backing a team up is a good thing. You'll get the ball back because the other team's not very good on offense. So there's a lot of things you have to take into account, but I still think you can use the analytics as far as information, but at the end of the day, I still think it relies on your gut and what you think your offense or defense can and can't do. in that situation.
Chatting with Jay Gruden, former NFL head coach, most recently the offensive coordinator for the Jaguars. And before we get into a quarterback that you know quite well playing tonight, I do just want to stick with that. Looking at what John Harbaugh decided to do. First drive of the game, you're around the 3.5 yard line, 4th and goal. You don't take the points, you go for it, come away with nothing. And then you look at going for 2, down 31-30. That's now 2 times the last 3 weeks, Jay, that they have gone for 2, failed, and not gone to overtime. So what was your thoughts on what we saw from John Harbaugh yesterday and his decisions to be really ultra aggressive going up against the Packers?
Well, I think there's a couple things to look at. One, I think the longer you stretch out a game against Aaron Rodgers, probably the more chance you have to lose. Because the more opportunities he has to get the ball in his hands, he's just so good right now. If he's not the MVP, something's wrong. So that's part of it. Maybe he thought he just wanted to end it there, but they still had 40 seconds to go, and I'm sure even if they would have got the 2-pointer, Aaron would have found a way to get a field goal range or something. It's crazy. But I respect the guts, and I think the players respect that to some degree. Hey, let's go for it. Let's go for it, coach. But the flip side of it is they got the best kicker in NFL history. You know what I mean? Sometimes taking those 3 points, getting that extra point, and letting your team live to fight another day is a good thing. Having Huntley at quarterback, I was a little disappointed in a play call. It was a planned rollout, and it was just a one-man show. The tight end working the front pylon. I would like to have more options for the quarterback on that play for a 2-point play. But the decision, that's something Coach Harbaugh's got to live with. I'm sure the players respect it, but it just didn't work out for them. They're still in a good situation. I think had they been 6-7 or something like that, and they need to win to get in, I think he probably would have kicked it. But since they have a pretty good record right now, they're still in the playoff hunt. They're still in a good position. I think without Lamar Jackson going for 2 there with Huntley was probably the right call. I just didn't like the play.
Jay, as you look at the NFC, it's a battle. Looks like it's going to go down to the wire for best record, ultimately home field throughout. Tampa laid an egg last night, on national television, being held to 0 points against the Saints. Arizona goes on the road, loses to Detroit. Dallas wins really have not looked impressive, at least offensively. Dak seems to be in some kind of lull. Based on what you've seen this year, give me your top 2-3 teams in the NFC right now.
Well, typically when I look at teams, I always start at the quarterback position. And right now the Packers, I think their defense struggling a little bit as of late, but they played well. They're still in the top 10, I think, in a lot of categories. So if they can hold up defensively, they're going to get Jaire Alexander back. They're going to get their big Kenny Clark back, the defensive lineman, 2 of their best players on defense. And they have the man at quarterback. And then you look at Tampa Bay still with Brady. If they get some of these receivers back, I don't know how serious Godwin is or how serious Evans is. Those are 2 major injuries, but if they get them back, obviously those are the top 2 teams in my mind. And then the Rams, I think with the skill that they have across the board, and then with Aaron Donald on defense and Jalen Ramsey, they're 2 best defensive players in pro football. They're obviously a good chance. So those are my top 3 teams right now. And then Dallas, you mentioned Dallas. I think most impressive thing about Dallas is their defense right now. They can play different coverages, but with Gregory and Lawrence and that rookie Parsons, these guys are pretty darn good on defense. And Coach Quinn has done a great job with them. And if they can hold up defensively, I still feel like Dak with CeeDee Lamb and company and the good tight ends that they have, they can still. And obviously Zeke Elliott, if he can get a little bit more healthy and Pollard, they have a chance to make a run as well.
Talking once again to Jay Gruden, former NFL head coach, many years in Washington. It's funny. I can remember it like yesterday, Shaun. I was working in D.C. media for a long time. I was doing the morning shift. I'm driving home, and Jay's press conference, this was August of 2015. And the reporter goes, hey, Coach, do you have any news? He goes, yeah, Kirk Cousins is going to be our starting quarterback. And everyone's mind is kind of exploded. Well, he's had himself quite the career. I know some people get fired up with Kirk Cousins, Jay, but tonight he's on the road, primetime spot. He's had some issues in prime time. How do you think Kirk and the Vikings fare tonight on the road against Chicago? They're a significant favorite going into this one, around a touchdown favorite.
Yeah, I think, I mentioned those other 4 teams, but the 2 teams that I thought if they can get in would make a little bit of a run are San Fran and Minnesota. Minnesota's defense, if they can get their guys back, I know Barr missed some time, and the defensive ends have missed some time, Hunter, and obviously the other one, Griffin, who's obviously out for a while. But Kendricks, if he can play defensively, they have a chance to hold up. offensively, I love Jefferson and Cousins and Dalvin Cook. I mean, they're pretty dangerous, and they can run the ball. Obviously, Justin Jefferson, to me, is one of the top receivers in the game, and Kirk, if given time, can deliver the ball accurately. I like Minnesota in the spot. I think they're just too skilled right now for the Bears to compete. But you never know. Justin Fields can make some plays with his legs and run around a little bit if he's healthy. They can hold up and make the game close at home.
Jay, we got about a minute left. Let's move to Jacksonville, a place that you're familiar with. Shaun Khan, by all accounts, is a great owner, good person. You know, just fired Urban Meyer. My question is not necessarily Urban specific, but greatest coach in college football right now, Nick Saban, didn't work in the National Football League. What's the biggest hurdle for these high-end, very successful college coaches when they try and make this transition to the National Football League?
Well, I think it's dealing with, some of the losses and the inability to get all the players that you want. Via free agency, you're not going to get everybody you want. You're not going to get everybody in the draft. You have to deal with the players that you have. And I was at Jacksonville last year. We were 1 of 15 for a reason. Coach Marone's a good football coach. We didn't have the talent on either side of the ball to really compete. Offensive line was okay, but you lose a couple guys. Obviously, the quarterback position, we went through 3 quarterbacks. They got the number 1 pick in the draft. But the receiving core took a hit when they lost DJ. They have a lot of holes and areas of weakness and areas of concern that they have to address. And it's going to take some time. They have to be very successful at draft. They're going to have to hit on some free agents, and some of these young guys in their building have to grow up and become good football players. So to me, it's more about the players on the team right now than the coaches. Because the players play, Shaun. You know that when the ball's kicked off, you guys, the players got to make the plays.
We got to hit a break. It is the follow the money.
Appreciate you, big dog.